center. We'll send it inside now to Dan Schulman.
And welcome to the Great American Ballpark for the finale of this three-game series between the Atlanta Braves and the Cincinnati Reds, with each team already having won a game so far in this series. Looked like some bad weather before, but we're going to play baseball here tonight as the Atlanta Braves, led by six-time All-Star Brian McCann, one of the game's great catches. They tangle with the Reds and reigning National League Most Valuable Player, Joey Votto. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell. And welcome to Cincinnati. Two teams with playoff aspirations, although one of them's in a better spot right now than the other. The Atlanta Braves are having a very good season, leading the National League wildcard race, trying to keep pace with the Phillies in the NL East. The Cincinnati Reds are entangled in that National League Central race right now. Let's show you what's happened so far in the first two games of this series. A total of 7 home runs in Friday night's game, including Fred Lewis and Drew Stubbs going back-to-back. Martin Prado ties it with a home run in the 7th inning, and then Dan Uggla with a pinch hit home run off Nick Massett in the top of the 9th. The Braves win 6-4. Yesterday, Derek Lowe cruising along 5 shutout innings, but then didn't get an out in the 6th inning, as the Reds score 3 in the 6th, 7 in the 7th, and they go on to win by a score of 11-2 to even up the series at a win apiece. So here's how it looks right now in the National League, with Atlanta 5.5 back of Philadelphia, but they are the wild card leaders. And look at the situation that Cincinnati's in right now. 3.5 back of 3 teams, the Pirates, Cardinals, and Brewers, in a virtual first-place tie in the NL Central. Joined as always by Oral Hershiser and Bobby Valentine. Bobby V, let's start with you. We saw the standings. 4 teams are in it right now in the NL Central. When it comes to the Reds, are you a believer?
You know, I am a believer. This is a team that started off 5-0. Everyone thought they had all the pieces. They were firing in all cylinders, but since they've only had one 5-game winning streak since the beginning of the season. And now, since the middle of June, they've only had one 2-game winning streak. This is a team that has to get hot. I believe they have the talent that can get hot. And I think that even though they've lost 17 games in their last at-bat, they're a team that has come back 28 times. They have what it takes, and it's time for them to move on up. I think Dusty's going to lead them to the promised land.
The Atlanta Braves have their sights squarely set on the promised land, with a lot of homegrown talent and a lot of great young pitching, including the 24-year-old we'll see starting tonight, Oral, for the Braves, in right-hander Brandon Beachy.
Yeah, 24 is young and only his 17th big league start this year. And I'll tell you what, this guy is a very, very good pitcher, 92-94, but he needs to have his slider. The young man has made start after start, but when the slider is on, it's an out pitch. You see it, inside fastball becomes low and away. And outside fastball to a lefty becomes low and in. That is very sharp, but in his last start in Colorado, it was not breaking. I know it's a different camera angle, but that ball is hung. They spun, they stayed up, and it's not only in Colorado they had trouble, but it was his last 3 starts. It's a pitch he needs to have. He has taken his changeup almost out of the repertoire, and the slider is the pitch. As you can see, the opponent's batting average, no matter what count, 196, but with 2 strikes, the put-away pitch is at 135, Dan.
He'd love a little run support. And a guy who's been struggling much of the year is hot right now. That is second baseman Dan Uggla of the Braves, who's down at field level with Tim Kirkchin.
Thank you, Dan. Chipper Jones is expected back tomorrow. How encouraging will it be to have all your offensive guns together on the field really for the first time in a while?
It's going to be huge. That's been one of the special things about our team so far this year. It's just the depth that we've kind of shown over the last 4 or 5 months. We really haven't had every piece since we broke spring training, so it's going to be exciting. We're excited to get him back, and glad to know that he's feeling good.
You've swung the bat really well for the last few weeks. What have you done to turn this thing around?
Just continue to work, continue to stay positive. My teammates have been unbelievable throughout this whole process. I mean, believe me, I've been wanting to be me, from day one, but it hadn't worked out like that. But as of late, I've been able to contribute. Just continuing to work. That's been the biggest key.
Thank you, Dan. Now let's throw it on over to Buster.
Chris Heisey, people always talk about what a great hitter's park, great American ballpark is. Tell me why.
The dimensions aren't quite as big as some other ballparks, and in the summertime, I don't know with the heat, the ball just tends to travel real well here, and because the dimensions are a little smaller and there's not as much room out there, for the outfielders, and the fences are in, so it's easy to get it over. It's a nice place to hit.
Now you're hitting 6 in the Reds lineup tonight against Brandon Beachy, who you have not faced before. What did you learn about him in the pregame meeting?
Yeah, we talked about him. I looked at video. He commands his fastball. He has a little hitch in his delivery, which we talked about. It's a little bit deceptive. So we'll have to see a couple pitches early, and he's got 4 pitches. He's pitching well, so hopefully we can get to him early and have some success.
Chris, thanks. Dan, back to you.
Buster, thank you. Also tonight, the trade deadline is just 1 week away. Who may be on the move in the coming days around the majors? Also, we'll revisit a busy Sunday in the Major League, some of today's top action and big-time performances as well, and a look back at one of the greatest teams baseball's ever seen, the Big Red Machine, which won 2 World Series championships back in the 70s. But first, time for baseball. The Braves, the Reds, the great American ballpark left-hander Dontrell Willis to throw the first pitch when we come back.
Baseball may never see a team like them again. Genuinely greater than Baseball may never see a team like them again. Genuinely greater than the sum of their parts. And boy, did the Big Red Machine have some parts. Hall of Famers, MVPs, Gold Glovers, an all-star team unto themselves, 5 division titles, 4 pennants, back-to-back World Series championships. In the Queen City, they were royalty on the riverfront. The Big Red Machine. Only the truly special teams get their own nickname.
And they were truly special, winning World Series championships in consecutive years, 1975 and 1976. Hall of Famers, MVPs, Gold Gloves, All-Star games, you name it. We'll revisit the greatness of the Big Red Machine and the 1990 World Series champions throughout the telecast tonight. We're here at Great American Ballpark, the home of the Reds, for the third and final game of the series between the Reds and Freddie Gonzalez's Atlanta Braves. First season as manager here in Atlanta. A look at the Braves lineup tonight, presented by Taco Bell. Martin Prado leading off at third. Jason Hayward, a couple of home runs this week. In right field, batting second, Brian McCann, the catcher, batting third. Dan Uggla is on a 14-game hitting streak right now. Freddie Freeman is just as hot. Alex Gonzalez, the shortstop, will bat sixth. Batting seventh in left field, Wilkin Ramirez. Nate McLouth in center field, batting eighth, and batting ninth in pitching, Brandon Beachy. On the mound and ready to roll is left-hander Dontrell Willis, his third start of the season with the Reds.
He has been outstanding for the Reds so far, trying to make the comeback trail for his career over the last 4 years. 134 innings, but the walks are the problem. Walks per 9 inning. He has had 124 walks in those 134 innings. And I'll tell you what, command is the issue for Dontrell.
Martin Prado will lead it off for the Braves on this warm, muggy night here in Cincinnati. And he'll look at strike one. Prado, who was on the DL with a staph infection, is back and playing third with Chipper Jones out. As Willis changes speeds and quickly jumps out in front 0-2. Dontrell, of course, at one point an absolute sensation with the Florida Marlins. And look at that. A sensational start tonight for the left-hander.
Well, 3 pitches, 1 out. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Tell you what, the breaking ball here to finish him off had good depth. You see the rotation that makes the ball bite as the seams hit the air, making the ball heavier and making it go down. Dontrell really working on his mechanics to simplify them. If you remember back when he was 23 and 22 and 10 for the Florida Marlins, he was the face of the Marlins. He was going to be a dominant pitcher for a long, long time. But he had some very eccentric mechanics. Big hip turn, big shoulder turn. Really didn't even look at the plate, a la Fernando Valenzuela.
Jason Hayward with a fly ball to left field and quickly 2 down. Defensively for the Reds, you just saw Chris Heisey make the catch at left field. Drew Stubbs is in center. Jay Bruce is back in the lineup at right field. Miguel Cairo for the injured Scott Rowland at third. Edgar Renteria for the injured rookie Zach Cozart at short. Brandon Phillips, Joey Votto on the right side of the infield, and Ramon Hernandez catches Dontrell Willis. Brandon Phillips, always an exciting guy. A 2-time Gold Glove Award winner at second base.
Dan, Brandon Phillips has been acclaimed by Marty Brenneman, a 30-year announcer for this hometown team of Cincinnati, as the best second baseman he's ever seen.
Swinging a ground ball to the right side, backhanded by Votto. The flip to Willis, who tags the bag on his way by, throws 7 pitches, all of them strikes, and gets the Braves in order in the first. An acrobatic play by Dontrell Willis to get the third out in the top of the first. The Braves go in order. No scores. We go to the bottom of the first inning here at Great American Ballpark. Braves and the Reds in the Cincinnati lineup is presented by Taco Bell. And here are the names Dusty Baker put on that lineup card tonight. Drew Stubbs leading off in center. Edgar Renteria batting second, the shortstop. Joey Votto, the reigning MVP in the National League, will bat third and play first. Brandon Phillips hitting cleanup. Jay Bruce in right field. Chris Heisey batting sixth in left field. Miguel Cairo batting seventh and playing third base. Ramon Hernandez will bat eighth. And a very, very good hitter, Dontrell Willis, batting ninth. On the mound for the Atlanta Braves, a guy who appears to have oral talent, poise, composure, the whole package, right?
Brandon Beachy at 24 years old, making his 17th career start. And I'll tell you what, with the rookies that he is alongside, he is shining as one of the stars. 13 starts, he's second, 72 innings, third, and 81 strikeouts. And those strikeouts are mainly on the slider. Once he gets to 2 strikes, that is his out pitch.
First time any of the Reds have faced Beachy. Drew Stubbs, the center fielder, leads it off. Stubbs, an interesting combination of skills. He's got power, 12 homers. He's got speed, 24 steals, but you can see he has struck out more than anybody else in Major League Baseball this year. Somewhat miscast in a leadoff role, but that's where the Reds need him right now. Prado recovers and does not get him.
This is a high one hopper that Martin Prado goes to backhand and hits off his heel, and then he forgets who the runner is. I think he should have collected himself quicker and recovered to make a stronger throw, but Drew Stubbs is one of the fastest runners getting down the first base. Here it is again. And he just kind of, okay, I'm all right, and then says, no, I have to throw it a little harder than I think, and it's just not there.
And Prado charged with an error. The leadoff man aboard for the Reds. Stubbs with a big lead, and he draws a throw. He is fourth in the National League with 24 stolen bases on the season. The batter is the shortstop, Edgar Renteria. Percentage for Stubbs, caught only 6 times. Renteria, meanwhile, is one of 3 shortstops that the Reds have used extensively this year. A rookie named Zach Cozart, who had played extremely well in his first couple of weeks in the majors, suffered a hyperextended left elbow on a nasty looking play yesterday at second base and went on the DL today. Paul Janisch was recalled for the minors to take his place. Renteria will start tonight, and you could see, Bobby, and you played middle infield, you could see from the moment this play happened that Cozart was in a lot of pain.
Yeah, and he reached out and then tried to reach in. His elbow was hyperextended as McCough bent it backward, and that's his left elbow, not his right one, but it's going to give him some trouble for some time on the DL.
And Renteria is gone on 3 pitches. Renteria strikes out, and now here comes Joey Votto. Having another good year, not hitting for the power that he did last year. But the batting average, the on-base percentage, all of those numbers very similar to what he put up a year ago when he won the MVP.
Not driving the ball to the opposite field like he did last year, Dan.
Getting pitched differently?
Well, I think he's trying to prove to people that he could hit the inside fastball. He took it last year. He wants to hit it this year. That time he was starting early. He got a breaking ball, was way out in front of it. Joey Votto's usually totally collected at the plate and takes that pitch.
You can see the big difference. The home runs way down from last year as Votto pops one up. Prado's got room. 2 down. So Stubbs, who led off reaching on the air, still anchored at first after a couple of outs.
Brandon Beachy has done a good job this year after the first man reaches base of getting through innings without giving up a run. Leadoff hitters, I know Stubbs got on an air, but leadoff hitters have hit 343 off him this year. But after that, 213 the rest of the innings.
It's not the way you draw it up, but no, he has worked on holding runners better, and he's a good fielder, throws strikes and gets the outs when he needs them.
It really shows the poise of the young man because he's come here to the big leagues with a fastball, curveball, changeup. He's developed this slider that's really become a wipeout pitch for him. It's really taken the place percentage-wise of his changeup. The slider has become more dominant in his repertoire, and it's become a huge out pitch.
Runner goes. And stealing second and almost sliding right out into left field is Drew Stubbs.
McCann had a pretty good pitch to throw. It was up and away. He threw it right on the money. But Drew Stubbs outran that ball. He gets a very good jump. Gets the throw right down on the money. Here's the tag. And as you said, Dan, that was a straight leg slag that went right over the base.
That's going to leave a mark.
And he's going to play with those torn pants all day long.
25th steal on the season for Stubbs. Now a ball and a strike on Brandon Phillips. The charismatic second baseman and cleanup hitter for the Cincinnati Reds, an all-star again this year, two-time Gold Glove Award winner. One of the things Phillips has been talking about is the inability of the team recently to hit with men in scoring position. Here's an opportunity for him right now. To right field, well struck. Gone! Brandon Phillips takes Brandon Beachy the other way. An opposite field home run, smiles all around in the Reds dugout. They've got an early 2-0 lead. Jay Bruce, the batter.
Phillips is batting fourth because Scott Rowland is injured, not in the lineup. Happens to be in the exact right spot for Dusty's team today.
Slow curveball in the dirt, 2-0. Bruce did not start the last couple of games, an inner ear disorder. Came on as a pinch hitter in yesterday's game, got a key double to help spark a rally. Now back in the starting lineup tonight. I'll tell you, Brandon Phillips has a good time playing the game of baseball, doesn't he?
All day, every day, before the game and after the game. He's smiling, having a good time.
3-0 green light, bouncer to first. Inning over. But the Reds strike first. They take advantage of the error on Prado. Brandon Phillips with a 2-run shot. Season, a 2-run opposite field shot. And as we go to the top of the second, the Reds have a 2-0 lead on the Braves. Huge game for Cincinnati. They're chasing or trying to chase down 3 teams in the NL Central, who, with all the action completed earlier today, are now all in a virtual tie for top spot in the NL Central. Dusty Baker's Reds 3.5 back. He believes there's a hot streak in him. Wants to get Scott Rowland back as soon as possible. Rowland on the DL again. Hoping to get Edinson Volquez back from the minors. Their opening day starter demoted again. Here are the up-to-date standings. A huge win for Pittsburgh today, pulling one out late, avoiding the sweep against the Cardinals, as Dontrell Willis loses Dan Uggla on 4 straight pitches.
A lot of misconceptions about hitting the ball to the opposite field. Of course, your hands are out in front of the head of the bat, as is the case here. His hands are above the head of the bat, but you'll also see he hits the ball out in front of the plate, not really deep behind the plate like some people think when you hit the ball to the opposite field. This ball will be right out at the tip of the front of the plate.
Freddie Freeman, the batter. And on comes Bruce to make the catch. Throw to first. And a little bit offline, so the runner back in safely. Jay Bruce gave it a good effort from right field, but the running throw a little bit offline, so Uggla back into the bag safely. Beautiful ballpark, opened in 2003, the home of the Reds. After so many years in Riverfront Stadium, and that's where they were when they won the World Series in the 70s, the 2 of them, and then the 1990 World Series championship team that Barry Larkin was a part of. And Barry will join us here in the booth, top of the 4th, to reminisce a little bit. Barry, not only a Cincinnati Red, but a Cincinnati native. Swing and a miss, Alex Gonzalez. Gonzalez, a terrific defender, hitting just .227 on the year. Doesn't walk much, so a very, very low on base percentage. But Freddie Gonzalez says, I don't much care. He says he's giving me such good defense. Kind of like the old days, Bobby. That's what a shortstop was for, right? Catch the ball, and any offense you get was a bonus.
In his bonus offenses, he'll drive the ball and hit you some very important extra base hits during the game, home runs and doubles. And that really fits into the style of the Atlanta Braves.
In the hole 0-2, and as you can see, this has been a tough spot for him this year.
Dontrell has perfected more than one breaking ball, Dan, and what he'll try to do here is throw one down at his back foot. Gonzalez will swing over it, and he'll get an out or maybe a ground ball to the left side of the infield.
Well, what have you seen from him so far in terms of his command and his mechanics tonight?
Well, you can't help but like the first inning. 7 pitches, all strikes. I did not like the adrenaline or the way he came out in the second inning. It looked like he changed all his rhythm and started aiming the ball in those first 4 pitches. But once he walked him, he's gotten back in and started competing again. He actually tried to almost look like a pitcher instead of an athlete. And I think he needs to stay out of his skull and just use his ability.
Well, the wildness is really what got him in the last few years, especially when he was with the Tigers. The Tigers put him on the disabled list twice with an anxiety disorder, a diagnosis that Dontrell Willis incidentally publicly disagreed with. But whether it was health or mechanics or anxiety, it was not the same Willis we saw from Florida when he was terrific. I mean, 22 wins, led the league in complete games and shutouts back in 2005. But there's the wildness, and obviously just could not compete at the major league level, giving up just about a free pass an inning.
Well, it's amazing he uses such a short step to try to keep the runner, and then that ridiculously high step. Hard to do both.
It sure is. You have to really stay on top of the fact that your arm swing is going to probably be about the same timing, and now you're doing it differently with different hip turns and different leg kicks. But he has proven that he is a great athlete. I'll tell you what, you know, to watch that play he made in the first inning to end it, giving a target, jumping up, having to tag the bag with his glove, the mechanics that he has put together couple great years with that no one could ever probably duplicate, with the fact that he had a huge hip turn, a huge leg kick. He didn't even look at home plate. His glove and his hands were together way above his head. And then he brought it all together at home plate and went 22-10 in 2005.
The Reds are gambling and saying, hey, he's only 29. He's got a lot of career ahead of him. And a low-cost gamble that appears to be paying off. They needed some help in their rotation. Sharply hit to third, speared by Cairo to second one and on to first. Double play, inning over. Ohio, Great American Ballpark. The Reds lead the Braves 2-0 on Sunday Night Baseball. Dan Schulman to Bobby Valentine, Oral Hershiser, Tim Kirkjian, Buster Olney, and also Carl Ravitch, John Kruk, and Barry Larkin are here with the baseball tonight. First time that Sunday Night Baseball has been to the Queen City since 2005. We have seen the Reds 3 times earlier this year, but always on the road. Here's Chris Heisey, the left fielder, leading off the second against Brandon Beachy. Heisey will be followed by Miguel Cairo and then Ramon Hernandez. Heisey, another guy with some pop, part-time player, but he's got a dozen home runs. Of course, playing half your games in this ballpark isn't going to hurt your home run total. It'll fly here, and it's only 370 to right center, 379 to left center. There's that Beachy slider that we've been talking about, Oral, but he missed low with it. 2 balls and a strike.
And if they take it down, Oral, it's always a ball. They can get it up, bang it. Easier said than done, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. You know, it's a bad mix for him tonight because you've got fly balls, which he gives up a lot. 0.55 ground ball to fly ball ratio. That's the highest of anybody in the big leagues given up fly balls with more than 70 innings pitched. So he comes out of an outing in Colorado. He comes here to this ballpark, and he gives up a lot of fly balls, and he's trying to get on track.
Just missed outside.
Well, those are two ballparks you do not want to give up fly balls.
For sure. I mean,
this is a Homer Dome, and that is a mile above sea level.
There's only two ballparks in America, our ballpark at Arlington and Camden Yards, that gives up more home runs than this one. I didn't mean to exclude Canada there, Dan.
No, no offense to him. Beautiful ballpark, we know that. We can see out to the Ohio River beyond the right field fence. Great place to watch a game. There's the slider, strike 3 call.
Well, Bobby, you're exactly right. Most of the sliders that start at the knee, of course, end up low, and he's kind of pulled them to the left-handed batter's box. But this is one that looks like a fastball, almost going to be high and down the middle and ends up right on the corner. That's the type of pitch that Bobby is referring to that he needs to kind of perfect. And that the high fastball that he got the called strike earlier in the at-bat with, and then back to that one, it's a good combination.
Now Miguel Cairo is the batter. As mentioned earlier, Scott Rowland is on the DL again. That left shoulder, that's been a problem for him on and off for about 6 years now. Has put him back on the DL for the second time this season. So Cairo and Todd Frazier will both get playing time at third base. Dusty Baker, a big fan of Miguel Cairo. And not just, Bobby, what he does between the white lines, but kind of policing the clubhouse a little bit too.
He's a lieutenant. He's down there. He knows the difference between right and wrong once you get in a baseball uniform, and he's there to enforce the policies of Dusty and of baseball. People listen to him.
Check the swing, a ball and 2 strikes.
He has energy during the game. He's talking to his teammates. He's always making sure that the pinch hitter is going to be ready an inning ahead of time. He's like a second bench coach. Chris Spire is there doing a fabulous job next to Dusty. Miguel's right next to Chris when he's not playing.
Two and 2.
We joke about a lot of pitchers' repertoire, the fact that, you know, it's sinker slider guys all the time, right, Dan and Bobby? Well, here's a 4-seam slider guy.
Yeah.
4-seam. And it's an interesting combo.
He's missed away with the 4-seam fastball. Goes to the slider, but he bounces it in, a full count.
And interestingly enough, Earl, as you could explain, some pitchers will hold that slider as a 2-seam slider, and some do a 4-seam slider, which replicates a cutter. He has the 4-seamer, and so it's very hard for the hitter to differentiate.
Cairo gets all of this one. 3-0. Beachy had him 0-2. Cairo took some close pitches and eventually jumped all over a 3-2 fastball.
One of the first fastballs that he threw inside to right-handers, and Miguel was ready for it, up and in, hit it off the facade in the second deck. Miguel's very strong, very talented, and enjoys the game of baseball.
4th home run of the season for him, and the Reds out in front now 3-0 in the bottom of the second for catcher Ramon Hernandez.
Brandon Beachy is pitching up with his fastball tonight, and you see right there up and down the middle. And it's one thing to be able to go up the ladder in the 3-2 count. You don't want to walk him. You're trying to throw a strike, and up fastball is not always the best pitch. Up and in is hard to get called for a strike. Up and away, kind of hard to get called for a strike. So a lot of times, up and down the middle is the place you end up throwing it. Veteran hitter like that does not miss it.
Now a base hit into left field for Hernandez. So the Reds off to a great start tonight offensively. And here comes Dontrelle Willis, who was always and continues to be a great hitting pitcher. In his 2 starts so far with the Reds this year, he's 2 for 4, including a double. Look at those numbers.
And often you'd see the bunt being put on by the third base coach with the pitcher hitting, but not now. He'll be free swinging it, trying to hit a ball in the gap or create a first and third situation.
Prado is in even with the bag at third. And Freeman, as of the moment right now, holding on the runner Hernandez at first, who's not a threat.
But that throw to first was just to see if Dontrelle will commit to the bunt to give his defense an idea of how they're going to play it. Uggla's a little close at second, thinking he might be bunting. I think he should check that.
Well, Dontrelle is the type of player, and I say player with respect, because if he would ever have a Rick Ankiel type incident, whereas he wouldn't have been able to get his mechanics back and throw strikes, he's the kind of guy that somebody's going to give a chance in AAA to play the outfield. He can swing the bat that kind of way. And he would probably make it back to the big leagues with just this bat.
Well, to give you an idea of how far Dontrelle Willis can hit a baseball, this is back to the Marlins days. Look at that extension, the follow through on the swing. Second deck home run.
And believe it or not, he was bunting that ball at third base. I believe he was doing that on his own. Maybe just to get another fastball in this count.
And again, the Braves try to see if he gives anything away. He did not. One and 2.
So some respect being shown right there. 1-1 count, a little change up. Got him out in front, and you're right on it, Bobby. He shows the bunt to get a fastball, but Beachy does not bite.
There's the fastball, and he gets it by him for the second out.
Well, the respect you show an opposing pitcher when you know he can swing the bat. A 1-1 changeup, and then the high and away gas to get by him. It looks like a pellet after you throw 79. You go back up to 92.
Talking hitting with Dusty Baker, who loves to talk hitting. Back to the top of the order now, Drew Stubbs. Couple of home runs for the Reds already tonight. Brandon Phillips in the first, Miguel Cairo here in the second. 3-0 they lead after roughing up the Braves 11-2 yesterday. Now here's an amazing stat for a team that fancies itself a contender. The Cincinnati Reds have not won 2 in a row, have not won consecutive games since the middle of June. They should be thanking their lucky stars, Bobby. They're only 3.5 out of the National League Central.
I think that's why Dusty has such hope. They haven't played well enough to be this close. And if you get a streak, a team that's been there before can really take advantage of the situation and cruise right into the playoffs. I don't know if it's going to be a cruise with 3 teams ahead of them, but they really it could happen. It could happen in a very easy manner.
I know exactly what you're talking about, because you feel it in the locker room when everybody knows they haven't hit their stride. Everybody knows they haven't played up to their potential. Everybody knows they're going to get healthy. They might even get some add-on help here at the trade deadline. And Dusty has been on a lot of champions. You've got Willis now with energy. You got Cairo giving him energy. You got Brandon Phillips having a good year. Votto hasn't really hit his stride. Jay Bruce can really explode. There's so much potential penned up with this team that every time we see him and every time we visit him, it's Dusty's like, we're right on the verge.
Yep.
We're right on the verge.
And whether they do make a move in the next week, Walt Jocketty is their GM, and of course as the Cardinals GM, he made a number of in-season moves that paid off really well. Whether they go get an outfielder or a starting pitcher, you get the feeling something's coming in the next few days for Cincinnati.
And it could just be Volquez coming back from the minor leagues and throwing the way he threw yesterday, pitching 9 innings with 8 strikeouts, or maybe Scott Rowland really being healthy when he comes back.
and Dontrell Willis. This could be a guy that,
Exactly.
I mean, that's a big trade if Dontrell becomes Dontrell again.
Good call.
From 0-2 to a walk. Stubbs aboard. Let's go down to Buster Olney.
Well, you guys are right. The Reds are all over the map right now in terms of what they're looking for. They could use a bat in the middle of their lineup. They've talked about starting pitchers like James Shields, Hiroki Kuroda. I think over the next week the market will develop. For the Reds, we might wait and see exactly who gets Carlos Beltran. Maybe they get one of those outfielders that other teams don't get. Dan?
All right, Buster, thank you. You hear names like Ryan Ludwig, Josh Willingham, B.J. Upton's name is out there. There appears to be a surplus of outfielders potentially available. Maybe not stars, but certainly capable major league players. Seems almost all of them are right-handed hitters that a lot of contenders are looking at right now.
I'm really surprised we don't hear Marlon Byrd's name when they're talking about right-handed hitting outfielders who can come in and make a difference. Fabulous attitude, a run producer, can play all three defensive positions, and he's playing for the Cubs team that needs to make a move or 2 or 5 to build that team back.
Swing and a miss, 2-1. Well, Hunter Pence's name has been out there, but the feeling seems to be maybe that the Astros are not going to make a move with him unless they are absolutely overwhelmed with an offer. Certainly he's a difference maker. Three and 1.
Carl, we talked about Beachy coming off of that last start, whether it was just a high altitude or whether it was going to be a confidence factor situation that he'll have trouble bouncing back from. He's really lost confidence in that breaking ball from what I've seen.
He's searching for something out there to base his day on. And the fastball has kind of gotten hit, which is going to make you want to think, okay, I need to mix my pitches more, and he's really looking for a secondary pitch that he can rely on right now.
Early in the season, in this situation, even with Joey Votto coming up next, 3-2, 2 guys on, he would throw that breaking ball and get a strikeout or a ground ball in this situation. Let's see if he has that confidence in the pitch now.
Runners will be on the move. Went with the fastball.
Because he knew it would be a foul ball on 3-2. So he just wanted to get the fastball out of the way.
So you think he's lost a little confidence in that slider the last couple of starts?
Well, the slider has not been there for him, and when you're searching for it, he's been overthrowing it. He's been toying around with changing the grip because he's been kind of coming underneath it. And he feels like he needs to keep it in his hand a little longer to develop that bite in the strike zone, not just out of the strike zone.
Fastball again, and it's driven high and deep to left center, but playable for McLouth, and the inning is over. Another run, this time on the home run by Cairo. 3-0, the Reds lead at the end of 2.
baseball game where the Reds have a 3-0 lead after exploding for a bunch of runs yesterday. They're doing it again, and Dontrell Willis is yet to give up a hit. Speaking of hitting, boy, Justin Upton had a huge game. He went 4 for 4 at a couple of doubles, including one that went to the wall on a bat that splintered. John and Barry, he was very impressive in a win over the Rockies.
Well, he really was, and they need that. If they're going to stay in a race in the West with the Giants, they need him to stay hot.
Yeah, Justin Upton, ever since the All-Star break, has said, you know what, boys, I'm the piece. Let's build the team around me.
Congratulations, Mark Trout, first career home run for the Angels. Ryan Braun, a big day. David Wright, 3 for 4. Hideki Matsui went 5 for 5. It's an interesting year, though, with the exception of the Central Division races. The wild card races almost feel like they're over with the Braves from the National League East and the Yankees or Red Sox from the AL East. So these games become hugely important in any division.
Yeah, and I think that's what the whole thing with the wild card was. If it can get established early in two great divisions like the East are in both American and National League, then you fight them off for the rest of them.
Win your division and you're in. All right, back up to Dan. We'll see you guys in the 6th.
Carl, thank you. And it looks like that's the spot the Reds find themselves in. If they're going to get in, sure, there's 60 games to play, but right now their easiest path to the playoffs appears to be win their division. Atlanta with a fairly comfortable lead in the wild card race. They are 59-42. They're 4.5 up on Arizona in the National League wild card race. The Reds, as we mentioned earlier, they are 4th in the National League Central, 3.5 back of the Pirates, Cardinals, and Brewers, who are all in a virtual tie, just percentage points apart. Brandon Phillips with a home run tonight. Miguel Cairo has a home run, and Dontrell Willis 2 shutout innings. Wilkin Ramirez, the batter for Atlanta. All right, guys, 4 teams in the National League Central. Who's going to win?
I don't know. That's a good one.
I think the Brewers should win it.
Yeah, I picked the Brewers earlier, but I'm watching the Cincinnati team and thinking about it and analyzing coming into this game. They got a good shot.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh's going to make it exciting. St. Louis needs a closer.
Say like a Heath Bell?
Heath Bell would be a perfect fit for St. Louis. There's no doubt about that. But as the guys at Baseball Tonight mentioned about the wild card situation, this is exactly why the commissioner is proposing an additional wild card for next year to keep more teams in the races longer in the season.
As people like Buster Olney and Tim Kirkjian have been reporting, you read them daily on ESPN.com, a team like Pittsburgh and also a team in the American League, maybe like Cleveland, they're at a kind of a different developmental stage than a Milwaukee, than a Cincinnati. There's Buster working hard down in one of the Canberra Bays, and maybe a team like the Pirates wouldn't be willing to give up as much. There's ball 4 inside as, say, a Cincinnati, St. Louis, or Milwaukee. Do you guys buy that a smaller market team or a team that's thinking development might be a little more careful giving up their top prospects?
I think they will, yeah, especially with the budget constraints as you go forward. It's not always about this year compared to building a team and building a budget throughout another 3 to 5 years as you continue on. And as your young players approach arbitration, you have to think about how those dollars are going to be spent.
And remember, if they're in it a month from now, there's still trades that can be made. It's not like the world ends at the end of the month. If Pittsburgh and Cleveland are still in it come September 1st or a week before, even though it's after the trading deadline, there are waiver deals that could be made for that piece or two they might need.
Nate McLouth is the batter.
You know, I mentioned St. Louis, or they lost this big game today to Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh because of their bullpen. Heath Bell would fit there so perfectly.
Ball and 2 strikes now, the count on Nate McLeod. Let's go back down to Buster again. Buster, what do you hear about what the 4 teams in the race in the NL Central may be looking for?
The St. Louis Cardinals clearly looking for a relief pitcher. Also, there was a report in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch this morning.
There's a sharply hit ball into right field, a base hit for McLeod, and overrun by Bruce in right, and that will allow Ramirez to come to third. So it should be a single and an error on the play.
Just a base hit in the hole right here. Very routine. It should be a routine pickup in right field, and just rolls up his glove. And it was a good job by Ramirez, looking over his shoulder and seeing that botched play out in right field by Bruce.
Beachy squares early. Gets it down. And Votto to Phillips. The sacrifice will move the runner McLeod to second. Let's go back down to Buster.
Post-dispatch this morning that the Cardinals are talking with the Chicago White Sox about Colby Rasmus. There's been so much speculation that maybe the Cardinals would be willing to trade Rasmus. Their general manager, John Mozeliak, is saying, no, I don't want to look to trade him. Other teams say, yes, he definitely is available. The Pittsburgh Pirates are looking for incremental changes. The Milwaukee Brewers would like to get an upgrade on the left side of their infield. They've had some conversations with the Los Angeles Dodgers about Jamie Carroll to help fill in at third or at shortstop.
All right, Buster, thank you. By the way, the Pirates and the Braves tomorrow night, 7 Eastern on ESPN, Monday Night Baseball. A chance for Atlanta, trailing 3-0 in the third. Second and third, one out for Martin Prado.
Prado struck out on 3 pitches in his first at bat, and you knew he'd be trying to put the ball in play. He does not want to get to a 2-strike count, knowing he already has a strikeout in his back pocket here, where a out will score a run and get Atlanta a little momentum back.
You see him playing deep. They're going to concede a run here. Having a 3-run lead, they want to get the outs at the top of the order right now. Second and third and one out. Cincinnati is conceding the run on a ground ball to the infield. Try to get out of this inning with a lead.
And Willis strikes out Prado on 3 pitches for the second time tonight.
And I think this is 3 sliders in a row. And the last one, an exceptional slider, because you struck him out on a slider in his first at bat. So when you finally get to the third slider that'll save you a run here in this inning, you better make it a good one, because a professional hitter already knows you've got him out on it once, so you can't just throw a normal one. You've got to throw an exceptional one, and he does right there.
And now it looks like there may be some concern about Willis, as Brian Price, the pitching coach, and the Cincinnati trainer are heading to the mound.
Very often when you throw those breaking balls and your fingers are on the side of the ball, your fingernail will cut your thumb as the ball goes by the ball. I'm betting that's what happened here, Earl, or something like that, as he's shaking. Yeah, he's looking there.
Yeah,
as though there's a
middle
little
finger,
cut.
a little tip of the finger there. He's really bearing down on that seam. The grip pressure is on that middle finger, and that's the last thing that pulls the side of the ball, as Bobby was saying. And sometimes their thumbnail will catch it, and sometimes just the pressure of the skin digging into the nail, because he was trying to bite that ball down and in to get the strikeout like he did.
Everything appears to be okay. He's back to work now with 2 down. And Hayward chases a slider. It's 0-1.
I'm really surprised Jason Hayward hasn't made an adjustment. I don't mean an adjustment to big league pitching. I mean an adjustment in his swing. He has a T-type swing where he tries to keep his shoulders level, and it's just not a functional swing at the major league level.
Grounder to second. And the Braves leave 2 men on. 3-0 Reds going to the bottom of the third.
Every loss, I must accept that there will be a tomorrow. In fact, it's more than there'll be a tomorrow. It's that I want there to be a tomorrow. That's the big difference. I want tomorrow to come. George Sparky Anderson.
And a wonderful man who just oozed baseball. Sparky Anderson, the manager of the Cincinnati Reds and the Detroit Tigers, won 2 World Series here. Won another one in 1984 with the Tigers, a Hall of Famer. As were 3 members of the 75 and 76 Reds. Sparky Anderson in the Hall of Fame. Also Johnny Bench, Tony Perez, and Joe Morgan, all members of the Hall of Fame. And of course, were it not for the off-the-field issues, the gambling, Pete Rose would also be in the Hall of Fame. It was a tremendously talented team, and you sit there and Oral, as we were doing this morning at our meeting, running through the 8 position players, the everyday players. We just gave you 4 of them. The others, Davey Concepcion, Ken Griffey, Cesar Geronimo, and George Foster, who went on to win the MVP in '77 after the Big Red Machine was done going to the postseason.
One of the greatest teams of all time.
But nobody gives the pitchers any credit. All they talk about is the 8 position players. Come on, Bulldogs, stand up for your own kind.
Well, I think they got a lot of run support. I think they pitched pretty well.
Very good bullpen that Sparky Anderson knew how to use and something possibly abuse, because they ran out of gas after '77. And incredibly, this group of Hall of Famers and All-Stars never won again after that run.
In the span of 7 years, 70 through 76, won 5 National League West Division titles. That's where Cincinnati was back in those days. 4 National League pennants and 2 World Series championships. The last National League team to win back-to-back World Series, 75 and 76. Votto chases and has gone 1 down. And here it is, the list of accomplishments for just an extraordinary team. Of course, maybe the most famous World Series ever. One of them certainly the '75 World Series between the Cincinnati Reds and the Boston Red Sox. They're the Hall of Famers of whom we spoke, including Joe Morgan, who won the MVP in '75 and '76. Johnny Bench won a couple of MVPs. Pete Rose won an MVP. Then in '77, George Foster won an MVP. An amazing assortment of talent. Let's go down to Tim Kirchin.
Dan, Johnny Bench was the greatest catcher of all time. Hall of Famer Tony Perez at first. Joe Morgan, second greatest second baseman of all time. Davey Concepcion, wildly underrated at short. Pete Rose at third, and a very underrated outfield. I believe this is the greatest team in the history of the National League. And what they did to the Yankees in 1976 was breathtaking to watch.
Brandon Phillips with a fly ball to deep center, but playable for out number 2. It was a sweep over the Yankees in 1976. A very good Yankee team. But for those couple of years, the Big Red Machine was the team to beat in a Major League Baseball. Defeating the Red Sox in a thrilling 7-game series in 1975. And then sweeping the Yankees in 1976. Leading here 3-0, bottom of the third, 2 outs for Jay Bruce as Brandon Beachy misses inside. They have had some droughts, of course, since then, although they did win a World Series back in 1990, and a major part of that team, our own Barry Larkin, who will join us next half inning to reminisce a little bit. Then from '95 until last season, did not get back to the postseason. Made the postseason last year, knocked out by the Phillies. Hoping to get back to October again. I would imagine Barry Larkin has some great stories, not only from his playing days, specifically 1990, but growing up in Cincinnati. Some great memories of being a young fan of baseball and of the Big Red Machine. Bruce lines one off the end of the bat into left field. Aerial coverage provided by DirecTV, who brings you NFL Sunday Ticket at no extra charge when you switch to DirecTV. With Oral Hershiser and Bobby Valentine, I'm Dan Schulman. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN from the great city of Cincinnati. Great American Ballpark, where the Reds have a 3-0 lead in the bottom of the third. A man at first, 2 down. For left fielder Chris Heisey. What a great shot of this fabulous ballpark right on the banks of the Ohio River.
And Dan, everyone knows this is one of the great American baseball towns. Or when you would come here and you'd walk the streets during the afternoon, everyone's dressed in red. Everyone's talking Reds baseball. It is an institution here. And Barry, who's from here, who played for the Midland, Joe Hayden's Midland Tigers or whatever it is, one of the great youth baseball teams in the country, exudes the pride of the city. When Barry walks through it and people shake his hand and yell his name, everyone knows that Barry was part of this community for 19 years, someone who did them proud every day, stepped out on the field, and continues to do us proud, working for us here at ESPN. But I had the honor of coaching him for a half a season, and it was just a wonderful, pleasant thing to watch.
Popped up, draws a crowd. Freeman makes the play, and the inning is over. We will visit with Barry Larkin when we come back for the top of the fourth. Baseball presented by Taco Bell is brought to you by the official partner of Major League Baseball road trips, Holiday Inn. Stay you. Underway here in the top of the fourth inning on this muggy night in Cincinnati. The Reds lead the Braves 3-0 in the rubber match of this 3-game series. Brian McCann facing Dontrell Willis. And we are pleased to welcome to the booth, fresh off his stint on the Baseball Tonight set, a member of the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame. Great shortstop, played all of his 19 years in the majors right here in this city. Barry Larkin is with us.
Tell you what, Danny, it's nice to be up here in the high penthouse as you guys sit up here. Nice air conditioning up here. Beautiful. You know, Bobby, you were down there with us down in the slum. We're slumming it down there. Yeah. It's nice to see how you guys live up here. It's pretty nice. It is nice. Yeah. Nice view. Nice.
We have to do the whole game, though.
Well,
McCann drills the ball deep right field and way gone. Never in doubt, and the Braves are on the board.
I had a chance to work with Brian McCann during the WBC a few years ago, and it was really impressive to see his work ethic. And you could tell that he was just on the verge of becoming a superstar, and he certainly has not disappointed at all.
He's a hitting machine. Here's this inside fastball that doesn't quite get to the location he wanted it. Little middle. Brian McCann can pull with the best of them and pulls with power. His dad has a batting cage down here in Marietta, Georgia, where he hits all winter long. Loves to swing the bat there.
Number 18 on the season for McCann. The batter, Dan Ugla. Barry, as I said to you this morning, welcome home. This is not just where you play. This is where you grew up. What's it like for you to come back to Cincinnati?
Well, when I got off the plane and I felt this muggy air here, that's exactly what I thought. I was like, exactly what I remembered. No, it's always great to be home. Mom and Dad are here. I still got a couple brothers here, and you know, it was always nice to get back here.
National League Most Valuable Player in 1995, a key part of the World Series champions in 1990. 12 trips to the All-Star game, 9 Silver Sluggers, 3 Gold Gloves in your 19 years in the majors. What was it like to you as a young player to find out that Cincinnati had drafted you?
Well, actually, I got drafted out of high school by Cincinnati. I decided to go to college because I actually went to college. I went to Michigan to play football. Bo Schembechler redshirted me my freshman year, and then that's all I had to do with football. Then I got drafted again by the Reds as a junior out of Michigan. And I honestly, to tell you the truth, I thought I was a better football player than baseball player. And once Bo made the decision for me that I was just going to play baseball, that's kind of when it started to spark for me. And it came apparent, you know, and during my career, I've had some opportunities to play with some great guys, play for some great guys. Bobby was on the staff. I faced Oro with this crazy streak going on. So, you know, we had some great times out there.
Ugla with a ground ball to short for out number 1. 1990, the Cincinnati Reds defeat, as I recall it, the heavily favored Oakland A's to win the World Series. Swept them, right?
Yes, we did.
Swept them in 1990. And won the World Series. What memories do you have from that year?
I remember Ty Benzinger catching that last ball right there. I remember being a shortstop hoping that they would hit that last ball to me to clinch the World Series. You know, it was really a blur. No one expected that we would sweep that team. You look at that team. They had Dave Henderson. They had Ricky Henderson, Dave Parker, Canseco, McGuire. They just had some tremendous players out there.
Freddie Freeman hooks the ball into the right field corner. It eludes Bruce, and Freeman, for the briefest of moments, had thoughts of third, and then the big fella put the brakes on, content with a double.
They had a great team. They had some great pitchers there, and no one really expected us to be there. No one expected us to beat Pittsburgh in the National League Championship Series that year. They had Bonds and Bonilla. They had Drabek, Bob Walk. They had some great, great teams, and we were just a team. I don't think we were the best team at that time, but we were the team that was playing the best, and it was timing. Jose Rio was absolutely on fire. We had the Nasty Boys in the bullpen. It was a 6-inning game for us. We figured if we can go 6 innings and have a lead, we turn it over to the bullpen. It was lights out.
That was Charlton, Dibble, and Meyer.
Yep. And Randy Myers. That's right, the Nasty Boys.
Not so much different than the way the Atlanta Braves are trying to do it this year in 2011.
It all starts with great pitching, though. Atlanta, of course, I think Atlanta, the Achilles heel of anyone playing in the National League East is that they've got to play in the division with the Phillies. And the same situation with the American League East. We were talking a little earlier today about the wild card teams.
Alex Gonzalez with a base hit into center field. Freeman to third.
And we talked about the wild card is pretty much wrapped up. Probably the wild card's going to come from one of those two divisions, National League East and the American League East, unless somebody can really get hot on the other side of the country. And then it's about winning your division. So we're talking about the Reds. If you want to get in, you better win your division.
Let's go way back. 75, 76.
Yep.
Who's your favorite Red?
Pete Rose. Pete Rose, Tony Perez. I was out there, grass stains all on my pants. My mom saying, "What in the world are you doing?" I'm working on my Pete Rose slide. Absolutely. Or I'm Tony Perez, Davey Concepcion. You know, I grew up at a time where it was all about Cincinnati Reds baseball.
Chopper to short, to second, one to first, not in time, and the run will score.
And you're right. You talk about the 75-76 team. I don't know if I can name two pitchers, you know, Oral.
Jack Filling.
that were on that team, and it was all about the offense because they hit well enough. You know, I think that certainly has changed. It's about pitching now. You look at San Francisco and their success, and anyone who is successful right now, is except for the New York Yankees. I don't know where they're getting their pitching from, but you know, it's all about the pitching. You're going to have the pitching in order to go out there and be successful.
The Braves back within a run, 2 down. Runner goes. Willis throws behind him, and they got him at second base. More with Barry Larkin when we come back. Cincinnati 3, Atlanta 2, going to the bottom of the 4th. Presented by Taco Bell. Welcome back for the bottom of the 4th inning here at Great American Ballpark. It is the Reds leading the Braves by a score of 3-2. Tim Kirkjian is with Atlanta manager Freddie Gonzalez.
Freddie, Brandon Beachy, how has he thrown so far?
Well, he's just left a couple of balls right in the middle of the plate. Either elevate him a little bit above the strike zone or get him down a little bit. But other than that, you know, we got him right back in the game right now. So this is a big inning, a big shutdown inning.
Ryan McCann hit a cannon shot home run. How good a hitter is that guy?
Unbelievable. And you know, we appreciate him big time. And hopefully now, you know, 6-time All-Star. I think the national media is taking a look at him.
Thank you, Freddie. Dan, back to you.
Tim, thank you. They certainly are, Freddie. Don't worry. The national media are taking a look, as you say, at Brian McCann. The durability, the offense, everything that he brings to the table. A lot of people feeling this is the best catcher in the game. Miguel Cairo leads off the bottom of the 4th. Dan Shulman to Bobby Valentine, Oral Hershiser. Barry Larkin still with us in the booth for another half inning, with the Reds leading 3-2. Cairo with a home run his first time up.
Barry, you were here for the Marge Schott era. Now they have Bob Castellini, who's taken over this ownership of this team and trying to get a new attitude here. He's done a fabulous job with this team, hasn't he?
I think he's done a wonderful job here. He was in St. Louis before he came here, and St. Louis has had years of success, and I think he's bringing kind of the same game plan to Cincinnati here. You know, this has always been an organization that is kind of a mid-market organization, but never has been a team that's gone out and brought in the veteran players. I think they have a great mix veteran players, young players, obviously, in Jay Bruce and Joey Votto. But they go out and get Scotty Rowland. They ask the question, why in the world would you go get a Scotty Rowland or go get Scotty Rowland? It was a Scotty Rowland that they needed to come in here and kind of help mold and gel some of these young players. I think he's done an absolutely fantastic job.
Growing up in Cincinnati, the '75 team, some of your role models back then, that the way you went about your game, so classy, never showed anybody up, never a hot dog. You know, lights out in the field, lights out at the plate. Who were the guys that you looked up to?
Well, it was Davey Concepcion, simply because I played shortstop, but Tony Perez was another guy. Pete Rose, his hustle. I'm telling you, we were out there playing the game the way that we saw those guys play it on the field. King Griffey Sr., when he came here. Johnny Bench. I wasn't a catcher, so I couldn't be Johnny Bench, but we were out there and playing and just trying to emulate what we saw of those guys. Joe Morgan, another guy. But the Big Red Machine, it was all about, in the 70s growing up here in Cincinnati, if you weren't a Big Red Machine fan, you had some issues going on. I don't say what those issues were, but you had some issues going on.
Well, after his great 19-year career, Barry Larkin became a member of the Reds Hall of Fame. And, of course, today is Hall of Fame Sunday in Major League Baseball. And our congratulations to Bert Blyleven, Roberto Alomar, and Pat Gillick, all elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame. And a man who received 62% of the vote is sitting here with us right now, Barry Larkin. In his second year of eligibility, went from 52% in year one to 62% in year two. You're trending in the right direction, as they say.
That's what I've been told. I'm trending upwards. A tick up, and that's good. That's good.
10% is a pretty good tick up from year one to year two. Ramon Hernandez, by the way, is the batter. How much thought do you give to the strong possibility that in the next couple of years you're going to be in the Baseball Hall of Fame?
You know, I'd like to say not much, but I'd be lying. I've thought about it an awful lot. Ever since I've been eligible, I was just really surprised that I got the 51% vote at the beginning. And, you look at your career, or I look at my career, and I go, I played well. I was a number 2 hitter. I spent most of my career hitting the ball the other way, trying to get the runner over.
Great play by the third baseman, Prado.
And I saw you make plays like that at shortstop, behind the mound, coming in on the ball. Prado barehanding this ball and making this play is excellent, Barry.
You know what makes it real comfortable in the fact that Ramon Hernandez is running. You don't have to hustle too much. So Prado looks like he takes his time, makes a great play. We have seen a lot of great plays this year, and that's one of them.
So 2 down in the inning. Reds leading 3-2. The batter is Dontrell Willis, who struck out his first time. So it is something that has crossed your mind.
Oh, I've certainly thought about it. But you know what is nice to see now is to see guys like Robbie Alomar, guys that I actually competed against and saw him grow up in the game. And absolutely they got it right in putting him in the Hall of Fame. And just seeing those guys, competing against those guys, and living and saying, you know what, when I was playing against that guy, I thought to myself, yes, he was a Hall of Famer.
1-2 now, the count on Willis.
Bert Blyleven going into the Hall of Fame would be proud of this breaking ball that Beachy's featuring here, because that's what Bert Blyleven had going also. This is almost a curveball tonight.
Well, that is a curveball right there at 75. His slider is around 79, sometimes 80, but that 74, 75 mile an hour that's going straight down, that is a curveball.
I think he switched from that slider mentality tonight to a breaking ball mentality. Maybe get a little more feel for the spin before he goes back to the slider that's been hanging for him the last few outings.
And that's an adjustment that is made during the game. I remember when we were faced with Oral Hershiser, and it was about, okay, he throws that slider, that cutter. He has the ability to throw that ball off the plate with 3-2. He's going to throw you a ball, but he's going to say that you don't have enough mental aptitude and courage to not swing at this pitch that looks like it could be a strike, but it's not going to be a strike. And he would throw that short cutter, and he'd throw a little bigger cutter as well. I didn't like that about you, all. I didn't like that about you at all.
You were no fun to face either, buddy.
Dontrell Willis with another hit. He's now 3 for 6 with the Reds this year.
Well, lefties like the ball down and in, and Dontrell's no different, even though he's a pitcher that's swinging. And this is a little change-up that Beachy pulls in there, and he just drops the head of the bat. Look at that, Bobby. Firm on the front side, down and in. Little uppercut, even though it's a low pitch.
That doesn't look like a leg kick. That looks like a heel kick.
That was interesting.
It's a heel kick he's got going on.
He's dancing.
I remember this guy when he broke in with the Marlins, thinking, "Oh my goodness, this guy." He was throwing mid-90s back then. I see him, not with the same confidence that he had, but certainly this guy, I remember back in the day going, this kid right here, he's going to be something to deal with.
I think what was your last year? 05?
04 was my last year.
04, so you saw him for a couple of years.
Right.
Stubbs skies one into left center field. And eventually caught by Ramirez. Barry, thank you very much for joining us.
Nice for being up here. I appreciate the penthouse, guys.
3-2 Reds.
I don't have to pay rent up here, do I?
Braves 3-2 here on Sunday Night Baseball. Let's go down to the field to Buster Olney with Dusty Baker.
Dusty Baker, what are you seeing so far in Dontrell Willis?
So far, looks like he has a very good breaking ball. Just having a little problem commanding his fastball and then keeping it down, And so usually when he's good, he's sinking it down away and then cutting it on the inside. So hopefully he can find that down away strike zone.
What's going on with his finger? How's that affecting him?
I don't think it's affecting him that much. He said he's okay. He has a little crack in his nail. And not a whole bunch we can do about it right now, except keep an eye on him.
Dusty, thanks. Dan, back to you.
All right, Buster, thank you. Nate McLeod pops up against Willis to begin the fifth. Oral, how does a crack in your nail affect you out on the mound?
Well, it can sting a little while, but you know what? You pitch through with the adrenaline, the pressure of continuing to pitch, and just in between innings, they'll watch it. Maybe a little crazy glue on there to kind of hold it together. On the backside of your nail, sometimes it's in the middle finger there, and you see the discoloration. Sometimes you get a little blood under there, but they watch it, and really it doesn't come down to that you can't pitch all the time as much as you're worried about the next outing and the side work, and you're trying to prevent a lot of damage.
Beachy with a roller to short. 2 down. Does it affect the slider more than the fastball?
Whatever finger it's coming off of, that middle finger, probably the slider, that'd be a great thought, because that was the pitch that he threw when all of a sudden they ran out to the mound. So the slider's probably the pressure finger there for him. But I would say that, if it starts to hurt on any of the pitches, it can start to affect your command or your velocity. But he seems fine. I mean, there's a lot of aches and pains on your hands and blisters and calluses that you fight through a lot of times. And you just have to make sure they don't turn into major issues.
Third start with the Reds since getting called up a couple of weeks ago. You can see he has thrown strikes tonight. 39 strikes, 18 balls. And a nice low pitch count here with 2 down in the 5th. And with the Reds having demoted Edinson Volquez again, Travis Wood is in the minors. Starting pitching has been a trouble spot for Cincinnati this year. This is not just.
No, he's looking at it there.
Yeah, he's got problems with it again.
Yep.
Willis is quickly becoming a pretty important guy for the Reds, given some of their other pitching issues.
Well, he is important. He was 5-2 down there in AAA, and he's really starting to rebuild his career, rebuild his confidence. He all of a sudden was looking at his hand maybe a little bit, but then comes right back with the breaking ball, Dan. So they need some starting help, as you can tell from that graphic. 10 starters used, the most.
Tough play at third. Nicely done by Cairo. Willis threw 5 innings with a 1-run lead. As we go to the bottom of the 5th inning, more baseball comes your way tomorrow and Wednesday night. It's Andrew McCutchen and the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on these very same Braves tomorrow night at 7 Eastern on Monday Night Baseball. Then Wednesday Night Baseball also at 7 Eastern, a rematch of the National League Championship Series, the Giants and the Phillies. Great week of baseball. Both games also available online at ESPN3.com. Here Cincinnati leads Atlanta 3-2. Edgar Renteria, Joey Votto, and Brandon Phillips for the Reds in the bottom of the 5th against Brandon Beachy. Renteria has struck out and flied out. Dusty Baker says it's his time of year. Older player, but a guy who, as Earl well knows, is a lot of people. Sorry, I'm sorry.
I knew you were going there.
I tried so hard to get through the whole night without saying.
97 World Series, the RBI that beat the Cleveland Indians, the team I was playing for.
I'm sorry, that was the. I didn't
12 innings, I think, extra innings.
I think 11.
Thank you, 11.
Right.
Game 7.
He's had some big moments, obviously, in October. And
warm weather.
Warm weather. Dusty says, yeah, may not, be able to go 162 anymore, but as the weather heats up, so does Edgar.
And he hasn't had as many at-bats as all the regulars, and they start to slow down because they've had a lot of games, a lot of at-bats, and Edgar's just getting into his groove as October rolls around.
It really depends, especially with a player his age and what kind of condition he's kept himself into leading up to this time. It is warmer weather. He has played less, but if he's let it slip at all at his age, he won't have what it takes to finish strong.
Here's Votto. Also 0 for 2 tonight.
That pitch right there is the reason he's not hitting the ball outside. They're busting him in and in off the plate. Then he's giving a little, not driving the ball the other way like he did in the past.
That is such a good point, Bobby, because some pitchers think that, oh, I've got to pitch him in and that's where I get him out. Sometimes it's just the fact that you get the hitter to give a little ground and he doesn't have quite that punch on that outside pitch that he usually hammers you on. And then when he hits it hard over there, if he happens to get a hit, you can't go away from that sequence.
Just outside, 2 balls and a strike. And you can see Votto uses the whole field.
But the power isn't to left field like it was in the past. So he has that show me pitch, as we're talking about, the fastball, first fastball in. That sets the tone. Hey, I can get in there. I can get in there. You better cheat a little. As soon as he cheats, as he did the first at-bat, go pitch him away and try to get him out of way. So he throws it in off the plate, or I'll go ahead with it.
There's a fastball in. It just makes you flinch a little bit. Then it goes away. He swings and misses. Now, remember, the reality on pitch 1 was they were going away, but it ended up in. So it's okay. You pitch to the reality, not what your goal was. And so they do have him flinching or thinking he could be going in. It opens him up a little bit, maybe takes a little sting out of the bat away, and now you can go back where you like to live. But you need to show in there.
Fastball away, 3-2.
And that kind of swing out of an MVP, when you get a swing that looks like maybe a rookie that first got to the big leagues, because it's a really touchy-feely swing on a pitch away, it's meaning he's opening up on the inside, he's committed to it, but he still wants to hit. He doesn't want to swing and miss, and he just feels for it away.
There was many a Baseball Tonight show last year when he got that fastball away and he deposited it into left center field bleachers, and he hit him high. So you know that he was getting that ball not leaking with the front side, and here he's just cheating just a little. Makes a big difference. Was that a 3-2 foul ball? Oh, yeah. That's right. It happens about 77% of the time. That's all I'm telling you.
You know, we're going to start tracking this, Bob.
There's someone out there. I can't believe I haven't.
For those of you who didn't watch last week, we had a little discussion about 3-2. The first pitch of 3-2, 77% of the times is a foul ball. Bobby said yes, and it has been so far for 2 weeks.
Votto will draw the walk. Brandon Phillips coming up. Homer to back in the first inning. Let's take a look at our pro tips, brought to you by Cabot Wood Stains.
Yeah, it is a pro tip. A lot of people understand that it's the angle of the bat that will direct the ball. If your hands are in front of the barrel of the bat, it will go to right field. But here you'll see it's going to right field, and he's hitting the ball out in front of the plate. The hands are in front of the barrel of the bat. That gives the ball the direction, but the bat does get out in front of the body so that it travels at that bat speed and that bat time to drive the ball over the fence. A lot of teaching, a lot of kids want to be taught that you really catch that ball much deeper behind the plate, and that's not true. You still get the ball out in front of the plate with your hands just leading the barrel of the bat.
Big swing and a miss. Phillips is a guy, if you're a Twitter person, you know all about Brandon Phillips. He is tweeting constantly. You know where he's going for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know what towns he likes and where he likes to go sightseeing. He likes interacting with the public more than just about any other major league player.
And it's been a little bit of a distraction in this clubhouse. He has to do a lot more between the lines from here on in, a lot less outside the lines for him to do what's needed for this team to win a pennant.
Different things managers have to deal with that didn't used to exist, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, Votto gone.
Brandon Beachy, early in the year, was not good at holding runners on. Roger McDowell, the pitching coach of the Atlanta Braves, kind of got on him a little bit, says something you're going to have to work on, son. 17th big league start tonight. Well, that might have come from the catcher, but he also worked on his footwork and did a very nice job deceiving. Votto picked himself off, but Beachy did it precisely.
And because of the position of Freeman, he was probably safe on that play.
Phillips now hits a high fly ball to right center. And the inning is over. End of 5, 3-2 Reds. A baseball tonight update on the way.
I'm with John Kruk, Carl Ravitch here, and earlier today, Roy Halladay, in the start after the heat exhaustion game, pitched really well for the Philadelphia Phillies, and they continue to have the best record in baseball, John. 8 innings, 8 hits, 8 Ks.
Yeah, and he said he tried to figure it out. He had to figure out a different routine, and it looks like he figured it out against the Padres today.
In the year of the pitcher, now that the heat and humidity is getting up there, some teams are starting to score some big runs. Chad Billingsley was very good today. Bumgarner started slow and came back, and Tim Wakefield got his 2,000th strikeout. But as the Reds are concerned, when you look at the Phillies and the Braves, I should say, as the Braves are concerned, did they have the pitching to compete with the Phillies?
Not right now. They have the ability to pitch, but they haven't pitched well this year. They've been so inconsistent. Like I said, they haven't won back-to-back games since June 15th, so that's a concern, and that's because of pitching being inconsistent.
All right, you see the fans here. They'll be here post-game, including some Marines who are back from Afghanistan, and we'll head back there to continue to serve our country. Back inside we go.
That Carl. John, thanks very much. 3-2. Reds over the Braves as we go to the top of the 6th with Oral Hershiser, Bobby Valentine, Tim Kirkchin, Buster Olney. I'm Dan Schulman. It's Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN from Great American Ballpark. Jason Hayward leads off the 6th inning against Dontrell Willis. A very tough matchup for a left-handed batter to face a pitcher such as Willis when Willis is able to throw strikes, which he has been able to do here tonight. It's the call on the corner, 1-1.
Live K-Zone disagreed with the call right there, but he's starting him away here, 2 pitches away. Now he's working him inside. I always thought it was easier, Bobby, and you pointed this out, that there's so much room between Live K-Zone and Jason Hayward. It's easier to come in on guys that are off the plate.
1 hopper to Phillips, 1 down. Let's go down to the field now. We understand Buster Olney has some breaking news.
Yeah,
Buster?
Jason Stark, our colleague, is reporting that despite the fact that Carlos Beltran has said publicly that he'd be willing to be traded to either the Boston Red Sox, Texas Rangers, maybe other American League teams, privately he's given the Mets a list of 7 National League teams to which he'd be traded because he's familiar with the National League. That, of course, is good news for the Giants, for the Phillies, and for the Braves.
All right, Buster, thank you. So that is an interesting development. 7 National League teams. You would imagine all of them are contenders. And right now, if you look at the standings, there are are only 8 teams really in the National League who you can say are in contention. So I guess Beltran really doesn't like one of them, but the other 7 he's okay with.
He doesn't want to go to Pittsburgh.
Playing a hunch?
It's just a hunch.
Just a hunch. McCann sends the 0-2 deep. Straightaway center, caught shy of the wall by Stubbs. Let's go back down to Buster again for more.
Well, and of course, Beltran is the preeminent outfielder among a group of hitters who are available at the trade market. The question is whether or not he will eventually wind up with, say, the San Francisco Giants, who a few days were considered to be the front runner in this bidding, or will the Braves give up a top pitching prospect? The Houston Astros have talked to other teams about Hunter Pence, but as you mentioned, Dan, the price tag very high. B.J. Upton is developing into an alternative in the Beltran market. Some National League teams talking about him.
All right, Buster, thank you. Dan Uggla fouls one bag. Tim, how do the Braves play into the Beltran sweepstakes?
Well, naturally, they'd love to have Carlos Beltran, but they're going to have to give up one of their top pitching prospects. And one source told me today with the Braves, we're not giving up Julio Teheran for Carlos Beltran. Now, no matter how much he could help them. So we'll keep that in mind as they move forward here. They'd love to have him, but they're not going to overpay.
Going to be an interesting 7 days before the non-waiver trading deadline, 4 o'clock Eastern, next Sunday, 1 week from today, with Beltran considered to be the biggest bat available out there, at least among outfielders, and probably among all hitters.
Chipper Jones just around the corner, coming back and joining the Braves.
Off the glove of Cairo into left field. Cairo's made a couple of nice plays tonight. A tough chance there. We'll wait for the scoring on the play.
Everyone sees he played that ball off to the side, but that's fine to do because you'll see the angle of this ball. You just want to start with your glove down and then come up to get it. He had his glove right in the middle of his body, and it was paralyzed, was not moving either way. You always want to have some rhythm and start with the glove down and come up. It's much easier to make that play.
So Uggla reaching on what has scored an error. Uggla, by the way, is on a 14-game hitting streak, still looking for a hit tonight to extend it to a 15-gamer. He's actually hit very well. I know he's hitting under 200 still, but he's hit about 340 during the hitting streak with power. Still just at 195 on the season, but headed in the right direction. Ball and a strike on Freeman.
As far as Uggla is concerned, his season just started when he started hitting. He's not worried about the overall statistics at all. He just wants to get this team to the promised land. Dan Uggla is a professional. He's been through probably the toughest part of his career, beginning here of Atlanta. Now that he's swinging the bat better and getting some production, feels more accepted in the clubhouse. Is more comfortable to come to the ballpark on a daily basis now that you're contributing. And this is the kind of bat that can carry them for a while if he gets hot.
Three and one.
Bobby, we had him a few times early in the season. He just looked terrible, and it was not only the swing that looked bad, but it was just his confidence, and he was completely lost. At least now, maybe the swing's not completely there yet, but the confidence is back in his actions and the way he's handling himself around the ballpark. He's starting to look like he's going to produce.
Third walk given up tonight by Dontrell Willis.
I agree, Earl. Dan Uggla's not missing pitches that he was missing earlier in the season. That's going to make him much more productive. And Freddie Freeman just had another fabulous at-bat for a 21-year-old who is very much in the Rookie of the Year balloting right now. Took a 3-1 breaking ball away to set up a situation with a tying run on second base now. Very good at-bat.
Alex Gonzalez, the batter. A one-run game here in the 6th inning, and the error by Cairo has opened the door a bit here for the Braves. First and second, 2 down a run in the 6th inning. Little number out in front of the plate, Ramon Hernandez, inning over. The Braves will leave a couple of men on, and Willis and the Reds still have the lead. presented by Taco Bell, is brought to you by Audi, truth in engineering. Aerial coverage provided by DirecTV, who brings you NFL Sunday Ticket at no extra charge when you switch to DirecTV. Back in Cincinnati to the bottom of the sixth with the Reds clinging to a one-run lead, 3-2 over the Atlanta Braves. The Reds got started early. A couple of home runs early tonight by Brandon Phillips, Miguel Cairo. Brian McCann has a home run for Atlanta. Here's a guy who hit a dozen home runs in the month of May. Jay Bruce was the National League Player of the Month in May. Hit 12 homers in May, has hit only 5 since. And somewhat of a notoriously streaky hitter since he came to the big leagues. Still just 24 years old, though. Started slowly, tore the league apart in May, and has now gone cold again. It'll be McLeod for out number 1. Nice crowd here tonight in Cincinnati. They had a sellout yesterday, their 11th sellout of the season. As Barry Larkin said when we had him on, a Cincinnati native and great Cincinnati Red, if you weren't a fan of the Reds, you had issues. I mean, this is a baseball town. One of the oldest and most historic franchises in baseball for many, many years. As you guys well know, the traditional season opener was always here. The first game of the season was always played in Cincinnati, always played during the day. And just so much great history and tradition associated with this franchise.
And it might be cold on opening day, but it was such great tradition to go to Skyline Chili, get yourself a couple chili dogs, go to a ball game and wear your red, root for the Reds.
By the way, we did a little digging, and Barry Larkin and Oral Hershiser, you guys battled a lot. And
a lot of bats.
A lot.
Yeah.
60 at-bats between the two of you, whose careers obviously overlap for many, many seasons.
I'm not sure I want to know the complete results.
No, I think you'll both be pretty pleased, actually. Barry went 18 for 60, so that's a 300 average. That's good.
Okay.
That's terrific. Didn't hit a home run and only drove in 1 run, so at crunch time, you shut the door, Bulldog.
We got to find out how many guys were on base. Then I might get proud of that. But
I think you both can be proud of those numbers.
You know, Barry was a very, very tough out. And, you know, the 300 shows it. But I'm sure a lot of those outs were hit hard, too, because you don't get everybody out on weekly hit balls. So whenever he came up, it was a huge shot.
That's what he said. He said there were 42 hard hit outs.
42.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, you know, that was a tough team to face. The Reds, you had the AstroTurf at that time, not the natural grass, and the Riverfront Stadium and the hot days. And so there's some good battles. But the number one thing I remember about Barry is how classy he was and how great he was. And it was just, he was no hot dog in him at all.
And he wasn't up there to walk.
No,
he did expand that strike zone a bit against Barry.
He did talk about that when we had him in there in the fourth, about the ball that you throw that just looks like a strike and then ends up a ball. And that's a lot of the times the approach I used.
Well, we mentioned that Barry Larkin's got a great chance to go into the Baseball Hall of Fame next year. Got 62% of the vote this year. You need 75% to get in. There is a possibility nobody will get in next year. These are other players who will be on the list. The biggest name who is eligible next year is Bernie Williams. All the other guys you see on this list are in order of the percentage of the vote that they received this year. Barry Larkin received the most at 62%, and as we said earlier, he is trending in the right direction from 51 up to 62 his first 2 years on the ballot. Miguel Cairo is the batter. Tim, your thoughts on Tim Kirchhoff with us again, your thoughts on the 2012 class?
All-star teams. He won 9 Silver Sluggers. I got him as the 7th greatest shortstop of all time. And this thought that he's not a Hall of Famer yet is amazing to me. He's got a chance to make it next year, but it's going to be a big jump. Knowing perhaps that he might be the only one to get in, that might help his case.
Roller down to third off the body of Prado. And he'll recover to at least get the out at first. 2 down. Been an interesting night for the third baseman tonight. Martin Prado and Miguel Cairo.
Really an atypical night for Prado at the plate and in the field. Usually he's the most consistent, most dependable player on the team. He's swinging and missing, popping up, and hasn't caught one cleanly yet, except for the pop-up in foul territory.
A guy who has played most of this season in left field. Chipper Jones at third. And Chipper Jones back from surgery for a torn meniscus, missing just the basic 15 days. Came back quickly and is expected to rejoin the team tomorrow. As now Roger McDowell, the pitching coach, is on his way out to the mound to talk with Brandon Beachy.
This is one of the most interesting conversations yet. Well, he's out there to tell him that the pitcher's on deck, but let's get the hitter. Exactly. Because we don't want to pitch to the pitcher on deck.
Well, that, and you don't know if they're going to pinch hit or not. And George Sherrill's up there in the bullpen, so
when do you get a relief pitcher up for the pitcher? Because they're going to bring in George Sherrill if he loses Hernandez here.
You're right.
To bring in the left-hander to pitch to the pitcher. That was to say, let's get this hitter.
Well, it was also to warn him, like, don't pitch around this guy and think you get Willis.
That's right. You're gone. You have no chance to win this one.
So Beachy will stay over 100 pitches, 2 down in the 6th inning. Runner at second, and the batter is Ramon Hernandez, 1 for 2. Again, the Reds try to win consecutive games for the first time since the middle of June. They're currently 2 below 500 on the season.
And that officially would be called a winning streak.
2 in a row's a streak. It's a start if you're Dusty Baker.
That's what Peter Pasquarelli tells us.
Quoting Lou Brown. Lou Brown, the manager in a major league. That will allow Heisey to take third.
Now, Beachy has battled early control problems, early not finding a secondary pitch, especially a slider. But he's kept the team in the game, and this is the kind of moment in a game that a starting pitcher
exits.
Might have to exit.
Scott Linebrink has joined George Sherrill. They're going to put Hernandez on to get to the pitcher, but the pitcher's a slugger.
Linebrink is for Stubbs in the 1 hole, and Sherrill might be for that guy.
This is interesting stuff, eh, Bobby?
I think it's very interesting because I think they're going to make the move. There's really no reason. He's up to 110 pitches. Freddie knows he wants to do it.
And you don't start stretching your left hamstring on the mound if you want to stay in the game. I don't think he's begging his way out, but he's been working on that left hamstring every time he's had a shot, like he's dehydrating a little bit, maybe he's starting to cramp up.
Yeah, I don't get it. He had him up to bring him in.
Even Dontrell looking into the dugout for a long time, expecting the move.
With Hernandez at first, I'm surprised they're not playing behind him also. With Dontrell, who pulls the ball down there. Right there.
What a great play. It's a fair ball.
Is that fair?
Freeman with a spectacular play on the broken bat. Hot shot to first base. Take another look. Inning over. Baseball, presented by Taco Bell. Top of the 7th inning at Great American Ballpark. It's the Reds 3 and the Braves 2. Dontrelle Willis back on the mound.
Well, Dusty Baker said, you know, he needs his fastball location. When he's gotten in trouble tonight, it's been the height of the fastball. And when you get it up, it gets hit. But the thing that he said, Dusty, in the interview, the breaking ball has saved him. It sure has. His slider has been devastating. He has the ability to change the break and the depth, make it sweeping more for a lefty, make it bite down more for a righty. And that has been the pitch that has put the 2 earned runs there for 6 innings and not more than that.
Low pitch count, mixing his pitches. He's walked 3 in 6 innings. Not great, but considering some of the wildness problems he has had in the past, I'm sure Dusty Baker would accept it.
This is a guy who brings energy, class, and a bit of a pedigree to this pitching staff. Having him perform well at this time of the season is a major boost to the team.
And wasn't it amazing, Dusty Baker, before the game we were talking about Dontrelle, that he said this guy wants it not only on the night he pitches, that he's the most verbal on the bench, the most energetic, and wants it for everybody else, and has mixed into the clubhouse and the chemistry right away and has brought energy. And that is hard to do as a starting pitcher when you're only playing once every 5th day.
That's part of what made him so popular when he came up with Florida. Obviously, the 22 wins, great. Obviously, the leg kick was something that everybody noticed. But he had just an infectious enthusiasm about him every day of the week.
They tell me he makes the pitcher's game when they come out to hit early at home. 4 o'clock, it's hot. Oh, gosh, we got to go bunt. We have to go hit. When he gets into that pitcher's game, it's an exciting half an hour of competition, and I could see it. I mean, it's in his DNA. His makeup is, let me have fun, let me compete, let me do what I like to do best, and he's doing it right now for the Cincinnati Reds. This is what he hates because the catcher got fouled off him. Here he is.
Here's what Dontrelle Willis did the first 5 years with Florida, since 2008 with other major league teams, Detroit, Arizona, now Cincinnati, and you can see a huge difference. Only 3 wins in the big leagues since the beginning of the 2008 season. Swing and a miss, he got him.
Well, again, the breaking ball, the slider that has been the savior. It's got him back into counts. When he's lost his release point on his fastball, they call slider just to get him back in the count. 2-0, 3-1. Well, right there, used as a 2-2 finish pitch. Bottom of the strike zone, middle, but sharp.
And he does change speeds on that. He has an 84 to 78 mile an hour pitch. It has a different break, different angle.
Here's Nate McLouth. Shows bunt and takes a slider for a strike. McLouth tonight is base hit. He's also popped up. Atlanta 2 runs on 4 hits. Cincinnati 3 runs on 5 hits. And there's a base hit through the right side. A 1-out single for McLouth as we send it down to Buster Olney.
Hey, guys, and what you're talking about with Dontrelle Willis, energy in the clubhouse, I saw that today. You guys know that on the day that some starting pitchers pitch, they have their chairs turned into their locker. They don't want anyone approaching them. Dontrelle Willis is the complete opposite, talking with teammates, engaging them, sitting among a group of them, watching a game together. You could see the energy that Dusty Baker is talking about.
Julio Lugo is, thank you, Buster, is going to be the pinch hitter for the pitcher, Brandon Beachy. And that pitch from Willis will squirt through to the backstop. The runner will take second. Bobby, over the course of 162 games, how important is it to have life in the clubhouse, energy amongst your players?
It's very important, but it's a very delicate mix. Sometimes it becomes something that aggravates guys. It gets on their nerves. It's like loud music, and a manager really has to deal with the volume. He doesn't have to pick the music selection, if we will, as the players are getting louder. He just controls the volume.
Base hit up the middle for the pinch hitter Lugo. Here comes McLouth around third, and the Braves have tied it. And Dusty Baker's on his way to the mound.
This is a sensitive time for Dusty. Not only is he dealing with a 29-year-old trying to come back, but trying to rebuild his confidence. And now it's a no decision time, or do we leave him out there battle through this inning and then give him a chance to win? But no, not this time.
The move has been made. Nick Massett's on his way in. Willis pitched well, but will not pick up a win here tonight. This game's tied at 3. $100 live out of market games per week online and on your favorite devices. Visit MLB.tv for details. We are tied at 3 now here in the 7th inning. Julio Lugo drives in Nate McLouth with a tying run. Dusty Baker to his bullpen for right-hander Nick Massett, making his 49th appearance of the season. 1-4 with an ERA of 3.31. One of the losses, by the way, came on Friday when he gave up a home run to Dan Uggla. And his job here to strand the runner who's on at first base, Lugo, prevent any further damage on Dontrell Willis's record. All in all, Oral, your assessment of Willis's outing tonight?
You know what? I was impressed that the mechanics have gotten a little bit more solid. I like the way he competed. I think he didn't compete completely there at the very end. A couple lazy breaking balls when the game's on the line that you just maybe wish he could have finished them off a little bit better. He's got a chance to get a loss, but he's got a chance to get a solid no decision that he can build on also.
Here's Martin Prado. First pitch swinging, and he lines one into left field for a base hit. Lugo to second.
When a player gets a base hit, everyone on the field has a responsibility. Obviously, a base hit to center field. Center fielder has a responsibility to catch it and throw it in. The first baseman has a responsibility to come up the middle and get to the mound and be the cutoff man. And the second baseman has a responsibility to trail behind the runner in case he takes too big of a lead. Phillips broke toward the base hit to center and then did not react back to first in time to be at first to get the relay from Votto and get the runner on a big turn.
Massett throws one pitch and he's out, but the crowd doesn't mind. They're getting excited. The hard-throwing left-hander Aroldis Chapman is on his way in. Braves are threatening to take the lead on the Reds. Bayer Advanced Aspirin wants you to know that for the rest of the season, Bayer will be donating $10 to the Red Cross for every strike thrown at 95 miles per hour or faster. For more, log on to speedyourrelief.com. And they've got a chance to donate a little money right here. Left-hander Aroldis Chapman, the hardest thrower in the major leagues. And Oral, a much improved pitcher, it seems, since he has come off the disabled list, was down in the minors to work on his mechanics, among other things. And since he's come back, in 11 2/3 innings, he's only walked 4, and he has struck out 22.
Well, you can't forget that the fact that the young man is very, very talented, but also is a Cuban defector, and there's so much to deal with once you come to the United States. Not only, coming here and getting used to the big leagues, but just the culture of where to eat and where to solve your problems and what to do. And there's just so much swirling around, and maybe things are now calming down.
And what your family's doing back in the homeland that you can't communicate with.
2 on with a 1 out. Jason Hayward is the batter. Eased it in there at 98 for strike 1.
Jason Hayward hasn't quite figured out how to hit the fastball yet, but the guy on deck is as good a fastball hitter as there is in the major leagues. It'll be a good competition if this is not a double play.
McCann has already homered tonight. Ground ball to short, should be 2, and it is. Chapman, 2 pitches, 2 outs. Game tied at 3. Been a good game here in Cincinnati tonight. The Reds and the Braves are tied at 3 as we go to the bottom of the 7th. The Braves, the leaders in the National League wildcard race, 4.5 up on Arizona. The Reds 3.5 back of a trio of teams in the NL Central. A no decision for Dontrell Willis. He gives up 3 earned runs and 6 1/3. Brandon Abici, the Braves starter, gives up 3 runs, just 1 of them earned in his 6 innings. As Freddie Gonzalez has now turned it over to the Atlanta bullpen. And the Atlanta bullpen is a good place for Freddie Gonzalez to turn things over to this year. Eric O'Flaherty, look at the numbers on him. Maybe not a household name. Unscored upon in his last 21 appearances. And the Braves with O'Flaherty, Johnny Venters, and Craig Kimbrell. As one of you guys said, I think it was you, Bobby, when Barry was talking about the nasty boys of 1990. That's a pretty nasty trio the Braves have going for them here.
They had 2 left-handers in the night with the nasty boys, and there's 2 left-handers here that are nearly unhittable. The only question you have is how much use you can really get out of these 3 guys. O'Flaherty has 50 game appearances. On his way to 75 at this pace. When you start to think about these 3 young guys who have 56 games out of Venters, 50 games out of O'Flaherty, and over 50 games out of Kimbrell, it's
a staggering pace.
Yes. And it's beholden to the Reds to get another hitter so they score more runs, so they have to, when they're winning games, they can win by a greater margin and not tax these 3 arms going down the pennant stretch. That's why they need an extra bat in their lineup. Or they need Moreland to come back and take some of the pressure off of these 3 excellent young pitchers.
Greg Kimbrell, the closer, perhaps on his way to a major league record for most saves in a season by a rookie. Johnny Venters sitting alongside him. A leadoff base hit by Drew Stubbs off O'Flaherty here in the bottom of the 7th. Stubbs, with great speed, already has a stolen base tonight. The batter, Edgar Renteria.
I'll tell you what,
he got it out of there in time.
Bunting right here. Edgar Renteria is a professional that knows how to do it, and with the lefty on the mound, they're probably not going to go hit and run.
And Arl, you just have to explain to me how it was that Freddie Freeman, who's considered a very good defensive player, never even moved off the bag on that bunt attempt.
Especially with a left-hander on the mound, he's going to fall off to the third base side also.
If Edgar makes a nice bunt down the first baseline, it's going to be a challenge to get him out at first.
Usually the bunt plays, you know, Bobby, of course, we're talking to the audience, there's signals between the pitcher and the first baseman in bunt situations, so you know whether it's going to be a pickoff, you can leave early, or you're going to leave on time to give them a little jump on the bunt.
Barehanded by McCann, and the throw to Ugla covering. The sacrifice advances the runner.
Exactly what you said, Oral. I think Freddie Freeman on the first pitch thought the pickoff was on, and he was on his heels. That time there's a pickoff on one play, and then as the leg came up, he broke to first. Here's a fine play by McCann, understanding the situation, understanding this is a bare hand play and getting 1 out at first base. Even though the middle of the lineup's coming up, you can't take a chance throwing that ball to second and not getting it out in this situation.
So the go-ahead run at second with 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th, and the batter is Joey Votto. Outside, ball 1. Votto was 0 for 2. He's also walked and then got picked off. He leads the National League, as you can see, in batting average with runners in scoring position. So this is one of the best relievers in baseball this year against one of the most clutch hitters in baseball this year. Toward the left field corner, and foul. Right-hander Scott Linebrink continues to throw in the Atlanta pen.
Linebrink is throwing, but probably not for Phillips unless Joey Votto walks or gets a base hit. If O'Flaherty gets Votto, you'll see Phillips intentionally walk and have O'Flaherty go after the next hitter, who's Jay Bruce, a left-hander.
Ooh. I think everybody expected that to be a strike, including Joey Votto.
Sometimes the hitter gives up on it too soon, and sometimes the umpire gives up on it too soon. That ball was at Joey Votto's hip and broke over the inside corner. Brian McCann wanted it. This young man wanted it, and Joey Votto is counting his blessings.
Missed inside. 3-1. Great speed out at second and Drew Stubbs. The Reds trying to break the tie here in the bottom of the 7th.
Infielders here know they have to dive to knock this ball down. Outfielders have no chance of throwing them out at home.
There's the same sequence that we've seen. 3-1 pitch that is inside. So now a little more confidence to go away that you might have taken the sting out of the bat. Remember those inside breaking balls. One called for a ball that was probably a strike, and another one called for a ball. Breaking ball in the outer half of the plate here. A very good pitch.
Got it.
The reason I thought that was a good pitch is because Votto has in the back of his head that I caught a break on a breaking ball and I don't want to get burned on it again. So when he sees breaking ball spin, it's going to react to, oh, that's one farther away from me. Now it's probably a strike because that other one I thought was a strike. That one, oh, so I got to keep that one in the back of my head. When it's more out over the plate, it could be a strike. So you make it look like a strike, end up a ball, and you challenge his subconscious of, I'm worried about that pitch, and so I'll swing at it.
So Votto strikes out, and now the percentage play by the Braves. They'll intentionally walk Phillips with the open base at first base, and then Bobby bring up the left-hand hitting Jay Bruce to face O'Flaherty.
That's the way this inning's set up. We'll see if it plays out properly for the Braves, where Jay Bruce could come up with a big one.
Bruce has done some damage against lefties. He's facing one of the toughest ones in the National League. Strike over the inside corner, 0-1. Bruce didn't like the call. Stubbs at second. Phillips at first, 2 down. 0-2. Bruce has faced O'Flaherty twice in his career. He has struck out both times.
He has 4 pitches to get him out now, Dan, because he can pitch anywhere in the count from 1-2, 2-2, 3-2, and get him out. The fastball in started the at bat. Bruce didn't like it, puts him in a bad place. The breaking ball, O'Flaherty executes, gets to 0-2. Now he goes fastball in. He can almost go anywhere he wants to go as long as it's a quality pitch that he wants.
And Bruce wouldn't chase the pitch that Votto did chase, and the count is 2-2.
It's time to talk this one overall because there has to be conviction in the pitches that are thrown right here. Brian knows that he has 2 pitches to get this one out. I think he's just told him we're going to throw a fastball away and paralyze him, and if we miss, we're going to go with a 3-2 breaking ball. But your thoughts?
I like that. I like the sequence.
Did. Fastball down and away. Bruce misses and is gone, and O'Flaherty gets out of trouble here in the bottom of the 7th. Still tied at 3. Some of the big hitters coming up for Atlanta when we come back. presented by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. And in part by Nissan. Innovation for today, innovation for tomorrow, innovation for all. Aerial coverage provided by DirecTV, who brings you NFL Sunday Ticket at no extra charge when you switch to DirecTV. Dan Schulman to Bobby Valentine, Oral Hershiser, Tim Kirchin to Buster Olney, and the Baseball Tonight gang here as well. We are tied at 3 going to the top of the 8th. Our oldest Chapman. Brian McCann, first pitch swinging. Got a high fastball and lifts a fly ball to left for out number 1. Chapman threw 2 pitches last inning, and on the second pitch got a double play ball to end the inning, and now has thrown 1 pitch to get the first out here this inning. That's pretty efficient. 3 pitches and 3 outs.
You throw with the arm that he has and you get it in the zip code, you're going to be devastating, which he has been when he's had his command. You have 2 guys that have pitched for the Cincinnati Reds tonight. Dontrelle Willis, amazing stuff as a young man, and then had to calm some things down to throw strikes. This young man here has had to refine his mechanics and his mental approach to the game. Really had to have some things off the field slow down in his life to really be able to concentrate on that bump in the center of the field and be all the potential that he is.
Better concentrate on keeping the ball down here. He didn't. Give Dan Uggla 3 shots at that high fastball. I think he'll time one of them.
I believe you.
An even 100 on that last fastball. He's gotten 2 of them by Uggla. One more time, or does he throw the slider down and in?
Down and in. Don't be so. Coming back up. Wow.
Should have went higher. Not in velocity, but in height.
Wow.
Dan Uggla still looking for a base hit to extend his hitting streak to a 15-gamer. There's the slider, and he got him. Sometimes life just ain't fair.
I tell you, having those 2 pitches is not fair.
Yeah.
I remember Al Kaline getting out to second base one time when Nolan Ryan was pitching. I was playing shortstop. He had a no-hitter through 7 innings, and Al Kaline said if they don't make one of those 2 pitches illegal before the end of this one, he's going to throw a no-hitter. Eddie Brinkman got a hit in the 9th inning, bloop single over second. Otherwise, he would have been right. I don't know how you have to just hit one of them. You're not going to be able to react to both.
Freddie Freeman, the batter, lines it to first, and the inning is over. Aroldis Chapman has thrown 9 pitches and gotten 5 outs. here in Cincinnati. Major League Baseball congratulates Roberto Alomar, Bert Blyleven, and Pat Gillick on their induction today into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown as we celebrate Hall of Fame Day at all ballparks. 3 worthy inductees in Alomar, Blyleven, and Gillick. Johnny Venters is into the game now for Atlanta. Chris Heisey is the batter for Cincinnati. Just another nasty arm coming out of this Atlanta bullpen. Leads the National League in appearances and innings among relievers. Look at the ERA and the opponent's batting average.
For me, this might be the hardest, sharpest two-seam sinking fastball in the game. It's like a hard screwball. And that's all they can do with it.
It's not fun for a right-hander to hit against them, nor a left-hander. It runs away from a right-hander, and he breaks their bats.
Sometimes it goes straight down.
Yeah, and sometimes it goes down.
Just straight down.
He throws it in on left-handers, and he breaks their bats. It's not a fun guy to compete against.
Fly ball to right field. Out number 1. So it is Hall of Fame Sunday, as we mentioned. Congratulations to the 3 inductees. Bobby, let me start with you. Bert Blyleven, a guy that you competed against. Your thoughts?
Well, you could hear his curveball, and people think that's not true. It's true. It was one of the great curveballs of all time, a great competitor, and a 4-seam fastball that he loved. I'm honored to say I played with Robbie Alomar. I mean, I managed with Robbie Alomar. You played with him, and I'm honored to think of him as a Hall of Famer today.
Miguel Cairo with the bouncer, out number 2.
Robbie Alomar, for me, was one of the smartest baseball players I've ever played against. And stealing pitches from a pitcher's glove, positioning himself in the field, and then bringing Hall of Fame ability also.
Yep. Got his first major league hit off Nolan Ryan, by the way, Roberto Alomar. And Pat Gillick, simply one of the great executives that baseball has seen. 3 World Series championships, 2 in Toronto, 1 in Philadelphia, and a whole lot of success in Seattle and Baltimore as well.
Congratulations to all 3 of them. They deserve to be there. Class acts all the way.
Yeah, everybody. And Bert Blyleven, what he did with the Olympic team and teaching all those kids to pitch the one time, it was unbelievable the way his knowledge of the game, the way he imparts it still as a broadcaster, and I don't think it should have taken this long to get in the Hall of Fame.
And congratulations as well, Bill Conlon in the writers category, Dave Van Horn in the broadcasters category, also going into Cooperstown today. Three tie, bottom of the 8th. 2 outs, nobody on. Ramon Hernandez is the batter. Francisco Cordero, the closer for the Reds, is up. Also Roland Heeman, inducted with the Buck O'Neill Award, the Lifetime Achievement Award. 3-0 now the count on Hernandez. Johnny Gomes is on deck in the pitcher's spot. Venters with a 4-pitch walk.
I think that's a good strategy against him. You don't break your bat, and you have a chance of getting on. Swinging.
The old stand like a statue strategy?
I like that strategy.
Now this guy will be swinging if he gets anything close. And now a pinch runner coming out. Bronson Arroyo is going to run for Ramon Hernandez.
This is one of those things that Bronson was probably ready 5 innings ago. Dusty will not take a chance of him pulling a muscle by being a pinch runner, knowing that he's short on his bench, trying to get things back together. Bronson's been prepared, and he's also been told, don't do anything stupid. Pick up your coach, watch the pickoff move, and please don't get hurt. But he's probably 3 steps faster than Hernandez's chance of scoring on a double.
Gomes first pitch swinging. Gonzalez with a nice play and the backhanded flip to end the inning. So 8 in the books in Cincinnati. The Braves and Reds tied at 3. Top of the 9th inning here at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. Some key moments in this game. 2 on with a 1 out. The Braves had already tied it in the 7th. Jason Hayward off a Aroldis Chapman. Double play, inning over. Dontrell Willis pretty psyched about that, congratulating his teammate. And then Eric O'Flaherty in the bottom of the 7th with the strikeout of Joey Votto with 1 out. And then with 2 men on, he got Jay Bruce with 2 outs to end the inning. There are some very good arms in both of these bullpens. We were treated to an extended amount of free baseball last week down in St. Petersburg with the Red Sox and Rays. Buckle up, folks. Who knows where we're going here tonight? Francisco Cordero comes on. He is the closer for the Reds. And he's working to a new catcher as well, Ryan Hannigan, after Ramon Hernandez left for a pinch runner. No save situation for the home team once you get to the 9th at a tie game, so Cordero will work here. No point in saving him. Although the way Aroldis Chapman was going, Bobby, 5 outs on 9 pitches, I'm sure Dusty was tempted just to send him back out there again.
He was probably tempted, but he did the right thing by making the switch.
Gonzalez reaching for it, sends one out of play off to the right. The count is 1-2 as Eric Hinsky emerges in the on-deck circle to bat in the spot of Wilkin Ramirez.
Boy, Dusty Baker and his Cincinnati Reds are really uneasy in their dugout. They haven't won 2 games in a row since the middle of June, and they've had the opposing team beat them 17 times in their last at-bat.
Hanging breaking ball from Cordero, and a base hit for Gonzalez. Now Eric Hinsky. Dangerous batter.
He's very dangerous because he's a very good fastball hitter. And if you throw him that slow breaking ball, he could just hit a slow ground ball in the hole and create a 1st and 3rd situation here with no outs because they have to hold the runner on first. So Earl, you'll be looking to try to throw something that moves away from him, so he hits a ground ball, tries to get that hole, but doesn't quite make it. Hits a ground ball to second baseman.
A couple of right-handers, Linebrink and Kimbrel up in the Atlanta pen. Braves trying to take the lead in the top of the 9th.
It's an interesting pitch at 86 miles an hour. That wasn't Coco Cordero's fastball. Trying to maybe take a little off and get him to roll over, but firm low and away would be a little better than soft right here, I think, to start him off.
Two and 0. And there's some grumbling here at the ballpark. Some nervousness. Better than 33,000 in attendance here on this muggy Sunday night.
Even some indecision in the battery here.
Three and 0. Bill Bray, a left-hander, up now in the Cincinnati pen. Bobby, would you turn Hinsky loose?
You know, I would, and I think that Freddie is also.
He did. Hinsky elected to take it. The count 3-1.
It's one of those keyhole pitches. He's looking for a fastball in, a mistake. He didn't get it, and he couldn't hold his swing up, but you'd rather he foul tip it in the glove for 3-1 than roll over for a double play.
3-2.
The Braves have attempted 64 stolen bases this year, and their running percentage is the worst in baseball at 58%. Not sure that Freddie's going to be running here with 3-2 count. Hinsky, a swing and miss guy at the plate.
Runner is going, and it's fouled off. Gonzalez with just 1 steal on the season. When we saw Atlanta back in May, I mean, they were at a historically low pace for stolen bases and all kinds of running stats. They've actually improved a little bit to get up to where they are.
Just on a hot, muggy night, I wonder why he'd send them on 3-2, knowing it's going to be a foul ball.
Is this one going to be also?
No. Yes.
You know what? When he said it last week, Oral, I said, Bobby's gone mad. He needs a week off or something. But now I'm buying. Now I'm in.
I think he's even a little low at 77%.
I would have slapped money down on the under so fast on that.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy.
Tied at 3, top of the 9th. Gonzalez has been in motion twice. Will Freddie Gonzalez put Alex Gonzalez in motion again as Hinsky battles Cordero?
Two fastballs away, late on both of them for the foul ball. And you would say, well, I'm going to try and mix him up and throw the slider, but what do? You speed the hitter's bat up, you bring the hole at first base into play, and you give him a chance to hit a routine ground ball for a base hit that could lose you the game. I got to stay fastball away here and make him try and catch up to it.
But the last thing you want is to have your pitcher distracted by the runner. No need to be concerned with anything but making a quality pitch on the outside part of the plate here.
Swing and a miss, throw down, not in time.
It was something off speed, though. 86. And he got what he wanted, which was the strikeout. The Braves mix in a stolen base.
Second of the season for Gonzalez, and the go-ahead run into scoring position with 1 out here in the top of the 9th. Now Nate McLouth. Got a couple of hits and 3 at-bats tonight. Good numbers for McLouth with runners in scoring position. Braves and Reds tied at 3, top of the 9th.
With that runner on second base, Dusty Baker has to decide if he wants to get McLouth and the pinch hitter Conrad, who's on deck, or put McLouth on base, who has the 2 hits, and pitch to Conrad and Prado, who's really struggling tonight. I think it's Prado that's really keeping this intentional walk from happening. He's been a clutch player since he got to the league.
High fly ball to left center. And caught by Stubbs as he crashes into Heisey. The runner Gonzalez will tag and come to third, and Heisey's still down.
That ball carried a lot further than I thought it was going to carry, and it carried further than Drew Stubbs thought also. He had a beat that he slowed down. I'm not sure that either guy called for this ball, Oral. It was just a play that had to be made. You could see the wind taking the ball to left center field.
Yeah, it wasn't hit especially hard. And those two guys both going for it with the game on the line. I got it, I got it. You see the tongue moving there, the Stubbs yelling. Just brushes up against him in the wrong place.
Now Brooks Conrad, a pinch hitter, comes up. As he trying to work out that left shoulder that looked like it bent kind of awkwardly into the fence after the collision with Stubbs. Last year, some big hits for Brooks Conrad in clutch situations for the Atlanta Braves. A base hit here would give the Braves the lead. They have not led yet tonight. Cincinnati got 2 in the first, 1 in the second. Atlanta 2 in the fourth, 1 in the seventh. Now we're tied in the ninth. Tied at 3. Coverage of Major League Baseball continues on ESPN tomorrow, and Wednesday night it'll be the Pirates, the co-leaders in the National League Central, taking on the Braves tomorrow night at 7 Eastern. Then on Wednesday night baseball, a rematch of the National League Championship Series, the Giants and the Phillies. Both games also available online at ESPN3.com. Scott Linebrink out of the Atlanta pen. 3-3 tied, bottom 9, top of the order, Drew Stubbs. First pitch swinging, drives it to right. It is over. What a finish. Scott Linebrink comes out of the Atlanta pen, throws one pitch, and Drew Stubbs sends it into the bleachers in right field for a walk-off win for the Cincinnati Reds. Stubbs is with Buster Olney.
Drew, what was that like?
It was awesome. You know, we've been struggling to win series this whole year, and I think tonight's the first time we won back-to-back games in a month, so it was nice to be able to do it in that fashion.
What was your plan going up to that at-bat?
Just looked for a fastball out over the plate early in the count, and I got it, was able to put a good swing on it.
You were talking about how the team has struggled to get on a roll. Do you feel like that you guys are close?
I think we're so close. You know, we've got all the pieces of the puzzle, and all it takes is for us to get hot and get a few guys rolling.
How about Dontrell Willis tonight?
Great effort. He's given us 3 quality starts, and he's been a big shot in the arm for us since he's been with us.
Drew, thanks. Dan, back to you.
Buster, thank you. Tonight's Chevrolet Player of the Game, who else? Drew Stubbs, the game-winning home run. To lead off the bottom of the ninth, the Cincinnati wins 2 in a row for the first time since the middle of June, as they beat Atlanta 4-3 on the home run by Stubbs, his 13th of the season, and they move within 3 games of the Pirates, Cardinals, and Brewers in the National League Central.
Fastball, you try and get over the plate, just get started, keep it down. Scott Linebrink has not given up a run for 7 outings until that pitch right there. It's not only a run, it loses the game for the Atlanta Braves, and it wins the game for the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, last year, the Cincinnati Reds had 22 games that they won in their last at-bat. This is the 6th time this year that they won in the last at-bat. They get the walk-off, and Drew Stubbs is the hero. I think it's exactly what the Reds need to push them into the next series and beyond.
The Reds take 2 out of 3 from the Braves, and they're now 3 games out of top spot of the National League Central after an exciting 4-3 win over the Atlanta Braves here tonight at Great American Ballpark. Drew Stubbs is the hero with the walk-off home run off Scott Linebrink to win it for Cincinnati. The final score from Great American Ballpark: the Reds 4 and the Braves 3. Sports Center is next here on ESPN. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Oral Hershiser, Bobby Valentine, Buster Olney, Tim Kirkchin, and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Dan Schulman saying thanks for watching and so long from Cincinnati.